I'm Consumer Investigator Dale Cardwell, and this is another episode of Consumer News We Can Use. So here in the South, we have to contend with humidity and moisture in and under our homes. So you may have heard of Crawlspace encapsulation, but you're perhaps unsure of what it is exactly. Does your home need it, and how's it done? Joining us today is Jay Eastland, owner of TrustDALE Certified Engineered Solutions of Georgia. Jay, how are you?
Hey, Dale, thanks for having me.
Our pleasure. Jay, what in the world is Crawlspace encapsulation?
Dale, I think the best way to describe it is it's similar to a pool liner that goes underneath your house. And what it does is it helps regulate the environment in your crawl space. If you think about a house, you got a weather resistant roof and you've got weather resistant walls. But if you go to the crawl space, you've just got raw framing underneath your crawl space. So what encapsulation does is kind of closes that building envelope so that you've got some weatherproof structure to close that bottom end of your house off.
Jay, when do I know I need it, and how do I know I don't?
Well, to be honest with you, Dale, you know you need it if you have a crawl space. The crawl space air is not conditioned, and the climate that we enjoy here in the South is very humid and very hot. So when that hot, humid air comes into the crawl space through vents, it's cooled, and as it's cooled, moisture comes out of it. So you're bringing moisture in by having those open vents. So when building scientists started looking into this, the first thing they looked at was, well, maybe we should just seal these vents so that we're not allowing that air to come in. And what they quickly found out is it'd be kind of like closing your house up for the summer, turning your air conditioner off and leaving town. When you got back, it'd be a moldy, damp mess inside. So we quickly realized that you can't just stop that air transmission. You've actually got to condition the air that remains. And so crawl space encapsulation and dehumidification go hand in hand. You can't have one without the other. So the encapsulation restricts the airflow, has some energy saving benefits. And the dehumidification dries the air that's in the crawl space. And what we're looking for is a relative humidity somewhere around or below 50%.
Got it. So Jay, in my situation, I've got a full basement, but I also have crawl space. And my crawl space is encapsulated. And so people, just because they have a basement, if they do have crawl space, it would be a good idea to encapsulate, right?
It definitely would. Yeah. I mean, it's that space needs to be conditioned. And in order to condition it, you have to encapsulate it.
And so it's also good for storage. If you want to store things underneath your home and you want to keep them clean and dry, I guess it really promotes taking care of your property.
Yeah, I mean, once it's encapsulated and dehumidified, you maintain a relative humidity again of at or below 50%, which is an environment that's not going to deteriorate stuff that's stored there.
So Jay, you guys have an awesome reputation. You've been around forever, but if someone's considering encapsulation, what are some questions they need to ask of a potential company that's going to do this?
So part of the problem with this process is there's a very low barrier to entry. So I can go to Home Depot and I can get a bunch of black plastic, and I can go spread that out under the crawl space, and I can say that it's encapsulated. But you've got to have a liner that's durable so that it'll stay in place and so that it won't decompose over time. You've got to ensure that all of the seams of that liner are sealed completely. You've got to ensure that the vents are closed properly, and you've got to ensure that the material is fastened to the top of the wall above grade, so that you've controlled that environment. There are inexpensive half measures that can easily be taken but sometimes you end up creating more of a problem than you had before. Inadequate dehumidification will create a problem. Inadequate encapsulation will create a problem. If you don't have a good seal and you put a dehumidifier in the crawl space, then the dehumidifier is trying to dehumidify the ground or the outside air, which it's never going to do. So you got to have somebody that understands that both of the components are mandatory and that both of the components have to be installed properly and right sized.
And Jay, the before and afters are just breathtaking, aren't they?
We've got photos of our guys doing the finishing touches of encapsulation, kind of cleaning up, making sure they got all the debris from the liner out, and they take their boots off to get back in there and do that final thing because it's a nice environment.
Yeah, it's very nice. So Jay, how do folks get in touch with the Engineered Solutions of Georgia to get their basement or their crawl space encapsulated?
So Dale, you can get us on the web at esogrepair.com, or you can get us on the phone at 678 ESOG now.
Awesome. Jay Eastland, Engineered Solutions of Georgia, thank you so much for joining us.
Dale, thanks for having me, and thanks for all you do for the consumers in Atlanta.
Thank you, my friend, and we'll see you next time on Consumer News We Can Use.